My name is Ryan, and I live in a quiet, wooded neighborhood tucked on the edge of a sleepy town in Oregon. My house is nothing fancy, just a rustic log cabin sitting by a small creek that cuts through my backyard like a silver ribbon. That creek is more than water to me. It's history. It's peace. It's part of the soul of this place. Unfortunately, peace is a fragile thing, especially when you live under the tyranny of the HOA. When I first moved here 5 years ago, I didn't think much about the Homeowners Association. They kept the lawns mowed, enforced the occasional building code, and sent out newsletters full of bake sale announcements and neighborly gossip. It was tolerable. Then Karen got elected as HOA president. Karen Witherspoon was the type of woman who believed authority gave her a crown. She lived 2 houses over in a large modern farmhouse with security cameras on every corner and solar-powered garden gnomes that blinked like satellites. Her yard was a perfectly trimmed square of artificial turf, and she judged anyone who didn't manicure their grass to military precision. I didn't fall in line with her expectations. I had native plants, wildflowers, a vegetable garden, and the creek, always the creek, flowing gently along its natural path, just as it had for decades. Karen hated that creek. It's not regulated. She snapped at the last HOA meeting I attended. It's a mosquito breeding ground, a liability, and frankly, it's unsightly. It's a protected waterway, I calmly explained. State law prevents anyone from altering it. Karen didn't care about state law. She cared about control. A week later, I received a letter from the HOA stating that my property was in violation of neighborhood aesthetics. They demanded I take action to eliminate the stagnant creek hazard. I ignored it. I knew my rights. But Karen wasn't done. One Sunday morning, after a night of heavy rain, I woke up to the sound of machines. I rushed outside in my robe and boots and froze. There, in the gray mist of dawn, was a concrete truck parked on my back path. Men in neon vests were pouring thick, wet cement directly into the creek. "What the hell are you doing?" I shouted. A man shrugged. We were contracted by the HOA president. Said it was a community drainage improvement. "You're dumping cement into a protected creek." I barked. "This is illegal." Karen came marching over from her side of the property line with a clipboard in hand and a smug smile on her face. "It's for the safety of the neighborhood," she said, eyes gleaming with power. "You can thank me later." I called the police, then the EPA, then the state environmental agency. But red tape is slow. Meanwhile, the cement hardened and the creek, my creek, was silenced. I was devastated. Wildlife fled. My backyard turned into a concrete scar. I started documenting everything: photos, witness statements, expert assessments. But nature has its own way of balancing things. 2 weeks after the incident, it rained. Not a little rain, but a storm. Sheets of water poured from the sky. Thunder cracked like cannon fire. Trees bowed under the weight of wind and water. The ground, saturated beyond reason, began to shift. The creek, once blocked, had to go somewhere. That night, I heard the scream. It was faint, carried on the wind, but unmistakable. I threw on a jacket, grabbed my flashlight, and trudged through the muddy grass toward Karen's house. The power was out. Her fancy garden lights flickered, then died. I found her standing in her front yard, barefoot, drenched, and screaming into her phone. "My basement. It's flooding," she wailed. I peered through her window. Sure enough, water was rushing into her basement like a broken dam. And it wasn't just water, it was muddy, swirling runoff, teeming with displaced fish and frogs. The creek had found its way home, right under Karen's house. Apparently, when Karen ordered the cement pour, the crew unknowingly redirected the creek's pressure downstream, right toward her foundation. Her house was the lowest point on the block. The water had no choice but to invade. By morning, her basement was 4 feet deep in creek water. Carp swam lazily past her washer and dryer. Tadpoles wriggled in the corners. Her imported Italian tiles floated in chunks like broken rafts. The irony was divine. Insurance refused to cover the damage due to the unauthorized alterations. The HOA quickly distanced themselves, claiming Karen had acted independently. Neighbors who once cowered under her rule now laughed behind their doors. But I didn't laugh. I went back to the agencies. This time, armed with evidence, I filed official complaints. The state fined Karen heavily for unauthorized environmental damage. The EPA got involved. Legal action ensued. I pressed charges for trespassing and destruction of property. Karen tried to play victim. "They're targeting me," she sobbed at a town hall meeting. "I was only trying to improve the community." No one believed her. Within months, Karen lost her presidency. Her house was up for sale, water damage disclosure mandatory. She moved out one bitter, rainy morning, glaring at me as she drove past in a muddy SUV. And the creek? Well, it came back. With the help of a local conservation group, I had the concrete removed. The soil healed slowly, but the water returned. Ducks came back. Dragonflies hovered. My backyard breathed again. Neighbors who once avoided me started waving hello. Some even asked for gardening tips. I planted a sign by the creek, protected by nature and karma. Sometimes I sit by it with a cup of coffee, watching the water shimmer. I think about how power can corrupt even the smallest communities, and how nature always finds a way. And I remember the night when karma turned Karen's basement into a fish tank. It wasn't just poetic justice. It was real justice.